Welcome to the Starfighter Podcast, Episode 2. Thanks, everyone, for joining us again. I'm the host, Adrian Torres, joined by two awesome guys here today. Our co-host, Jake Koskella. How you doing?
Hey, doing good. Good to see you. Good to be promoted from last episode.
Yeah, I mean, the spice was there, man. It was there. We had it.
Hey,
We had something.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. So I got nothing better to do than this. So let's keep it rolling.
And our special guest, my older brother, Adrian Torres. How you doing, bro?
So special. Thanks. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, good to see you guys.
Kick back and talk some Star Wars, huh?
Oh, yeah. We're going to break down Season 2, Episode 7, The Believer. And let's just get right into it. We start out at this junkyard. We can see this is where the prisoners are spending their time, dealing with the repercussions of what they've been doing, all their crime in the galaxy. This is where we're reintroduced to the character of Mayfield, played by Bill Burr. My initial thoughts I wanted to give, and then I'll throw it to you guys. I was a little bit worried at first because I wasn't the biggest fan in Season 1. But honestly, from the very beginning of this episode, they won me over with his character. I thought he shined in this episode, and I really liked all the context and backstory that they gave to him. Adrian, what were your thoughts on the reintroduction of Mayfield?
Yeah, I mean, not to get too far ahead in the episode, but I guess it's nice to just kick it off by saying, my biggest thought for the whole episode was Bill Burr acted his butt off. I mean, that totally, because he's a comedian, I believe. I'm not too familiar with him, but known for stand-up and stuff. And yeah, I mean, he was okay. I know he kind of got in the previous episode, I know he kind of got some slack for the New York accent, which I have opinions about that, but which I think it's fine. But yeah, he really proved that he's actually a really good actor. So I thought it was great overall. And yeah, very early on, I thought he fit the part. He proved that he fit the part and seemed very natural, even right there in that junkyard scene.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you too. He was good in the first episode, but I feel like it was sort of rushed with the whole prison escape and everything. It was just a lot of action. But this episode really got, as you said, see his backstory, give him more personality, and he also gave him a lot more chance to be funny, I think.
Totally. So then we're flying off to Morak, and that's the secret hub, the secret Imperial hub, where they are refining the Rhydonium explosives. And so the plan is that Mayfield is going to help Mando get the coordinates for Moff Gideon's Star Destroyer. But the catch is that the database is going to have to scan one of their faces. And I think my favorite line, because they were all going through which one was going to end up going with Mayfield, and my favorite line was when Boba Fett says, "Let's just say that they might recognize my face." That was pretty awesome. But yeah, so anyways, they decide that Din is going to be the one to go with Mayfield, and so they suit up in the trooper uniform and they head out. Jake, did you want to give me your thoughts on this scene?
Yeah, I mean, we had that whole kind of car ride, whatever the transports to the facility, which obviously we got a lot of action and a lot of comedy as well in it, which was pretty cool. But it was interesting, sort of the dialogue that they had there with Mayfield kind of giving Din Djarin a speech about how everybody's got their lines that they won't cross until things get messy. It's kind of interesting why he would say that. We're not just, I feel like there's more to it. It's not just about, oh, he's got to remove his helmet once these things get messy, but it's sort of, I think it's definitely foreshadowing something there, because he definitely has a code that he lives by, but I mean, he's not really against killing or anything like that. but I think we will see at some point what he's willing to sacrifice to get Grogu back.
Yeah, good point. Did you want to add anything, Adrian?
Yeah, real similar thoughts. I definitely think it's going to show. They're showing kind of that struggle that Din is going to start having, as he's been introduced to this other type of Mandalorian, this other type of, I guess, authentic Mandalorian. And I mean, several people have said it already, but this show seems like it's going to be sort of about defining what it means to be Mandalorian. And so I think it's cool that they're definitely exploring that. And I guess what I'll say is, honestly, that car ride and all those things that that Mayfield was saying, I was going to say Miggs. His first name is Miggs. I caught that when I was looking at the subtitles. This episode, I'm like, Miggs. The things that Miggs was saying in that ride, I think that's what really sold him for me, because you started to see kind of like the foundation of why he acts the way he does. Obviously, not a lot of honor in some of the things he's been doing, but he really shows like that really calloused side, and what it takes to do the kinds of things that he's doing, and have that sort of callous viewpoint of the galaxy.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
well said.
So we're going to move forward, and we see that they get close to the refinery, and then they get ambushed by these pirates. Oh, let's take a look at that drink real quick, bro.
His eyes are a little, if I tip
Pretty
it this
awesome.
way, his eyes work a little bit better.
Oh, nice. That's awesome.
There you go.
Very nice, very nice. So yeah, they get ambushed by these pirates who are trying to blow up the Rhydonium. And this is the first time that we see, I believe, Din Djarin. He has to put up a fight without his gear, without his armor. Jake, how do you feel about this action scene?
Yeah, I think it was one of the best that we have seen. Obviously, I like this whole kind of thing with the Imperial and the transports and the pirates, kind of saying who's good, who's bad, really. But I like how this show gives us a deeper look into the Empire. And it was cool to see Din Djarin do this hand-to-hand combat with these people, because he didn't have much to go off. His blaster, unfortunately, did not have very much ammo. But we saw in last week's episodes, I just thought it's really cool how they display the armor. Like, it's kind of crappy armor, especially compared to his Beskar steel. So it's shattering and breaking all over the place when he's putting up a fight. But it was cool to see him hold his own in hand-to-hand combats, and throwing the grenades back and everything, trying to get over there. With Bill Burr giving the comedic input as well during the whole thing. I thought it was such a great scene and great episode overall.
Did you want to add anything to that, Adrian?
No, not without getting into the next part. So yeah, go ahead.
Okay, yeah, you know what? Take us into that, because they finally get to the base, and the stormtroopers, they're saluting them, great job. This is right after the TIE fighters come in and help save the day also. But yeah, so everyone's giving them a good job. They get into the base. Take us through this scene, bro, about they're going to try and get to the database, but they run into some issues.
Yeah. I guess one thing I was going to say was, like, I really want to see a parody of Din and Mayfield going into there, and then the stormtroopers and everyone there cheering them on, saluting them. They're all so proud, so happy. They're the only ones to make it. I'd love to see a parody where they're just like, I don't know, this kind of feels good. Let's just roll with this for a while. Like, you could probably ride that party out for a few days. But no, it definitely drove home the awkwardness, and then when you factor in what we learn about Mayfield, and as well as Din's view towards the Empire and everything like that, you really feel the tension. I think that's the biggest thing that happened. I can't remember feeling I can't remember any episode feeling that tense, leading all the way up to, he goes, tries to scan his helmet, I guess, just not wanting to face the fact that he's gonna have to take it off, and then all the way up to where they move and they're having a drink with sorry, his name is escaping me.
Yeah, I think it's Officer Hess.
Right.
It was his former
just
commanding officer.
Yeah, the tension building and building. I think it was the best episode for that, because you just felt it the whole time. And I think that's where Bill Burr really hit his peak in the episode, because that look in his eyes and his subtlety with his head movement and where he's looking, you felt his anger. He did outstanding right there.
Yeah, and going along with that, I think some people are gonna argue and say that this was actually a filler episode, but it really wasn't. There was a lot of context, especially with the dialogue, and like you said, Adrian, just so much tension in that scene that really was like the climax of that episode is that conversation and then them getting out. And so we'll get to that now. They shoot their way out the window. Got a lot of prequel vibes from this, from Phantom Menace and then Attack of the Clones, as they're headed out the window, and the troopers are chasing them down. Cara Dune and Fennec, they're giving them cover. They're shooting the troopers. Slave One comes in, grabs the guys. We got this awesome scene where Mayfield grabs the rifle and he shoots the explosive, taking out the entire base. Then we got some TIE fighters coming in. I'm going to throw this to Jake because I'm pretty sure this is probably your favorite part.
Oh, dude, it's so great. Like I mentioned last episode, love episode 2. It's so good. I don't care what people say, but I mean, this totally brings you back. You were waiting for it. I think you mentioned that last episode, that you're just waiting for the Slave One to drop these seismic charges, and he does. Yeah,
I knew it was going to happen.
Oh yeah, it's got to happen. I mean, it's just so intense. I love it so much. Like, you knew it was going to happen, and you're waiting for that awesome sound that they make. It just vibrates the whole house.
I was sitting watching with the boys, and we're like, please, we need it, please.
Right? Yeah, just crank that sound through the whole house. It's so intense. I mean, going right back to Jango and Obi-Wan's dogfight in episode 2, and I've always felt they were a little impractical because of how just linear they are, but you can't beat that power. I mean, perfect shot, just like his dad showed him, right? Completely decimating those TIE fighters, and all it took was one shot.
Yeah, totally. And so
good.
They get back to ground. They're going to part ways with Mayfield. Adrian, what were your thoughts on this scene?
Again, all real good. Yeah, he played the awkwardness really well right there at the end too. Kind of made me think, like, I mean, what's this planet like? He doesn't have food or water? Like, how's he gonna survive? But he seemed very happy to just go off, and
yeah,
I'm sure he'll be just fine. But yeah, it was good, and in some ways, I was kind of happy to see him, I guess, be free and not have to go back to prison.
I actually thought he was going to stay with the crew.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I mean, I think that's what the show does so well, is they introduce side characters in these episodes, and you're like, oh, just come on, hop on the ship, join us. But I mean, you can't have everybody, and I think we'll see him again. I think especially because he gave such an amazing performance, that they'll bring him back eventually.
I think so too.
Speaking of which, can I just say real quick, after the previous episode as well, but ever since it became, okay, like, now we got to go save Grogu, it's like, okay, cool, we went back and got Cara, we we got Boba Fett, and Fennec, whatever. Why can't Bo-Katan be there too? Like, like, out of all of them, it's just like, I was really hoping we'd go back and get Bo-Katan, but obviously they don't quite have the relationship there. So,
well, we'll get back to that in just a minute. But yeah, closing out this episode with our last scene, we cut to Moff Gideon back on his starfighter or his Star Destroyer, and he gets this transmission from Din. Did this scene work for you guys? How do you feel about it, Jake?
I thought it was good. It was a little different because I don't think Mando he doesn't really say his feelings, right? He does.
Right.
Obviously, we know how much the kid means to him, but he never really voices it. So it was different, but definitely something that was welcomed, that he was really putting into words that don't cross him. I mean, he's going to do anything to get him back.
Yeah, go along with that. That's another thing that I think the show does really well, is it doesn't matter that the helmet is on. You know his emotions so well with the music, and even just with the tilt of his head. Sometimes you understand exactly what he's going through. So yeah, it was different to actually have him have more to say, and it was the same speech that Gideon gives him end of season 1. What do you think, bro?
Yeah, to be honest, I had a little bit of mixed feelings on it when I first watched the episode. You know, definitely got that he's kind of repeating Moff Gideon's words right back to him. But when it got to the last line where he says, "He means more to me than you can possibly ever know," or something like that, I found myself thinking, like, you shouldn't have told him that, like, because now he knows how bad you like. Now he knows that it's a personal thing, and it makes me think of the way Tarkin works. And I'm sure they're going to try to make Gideon very similar, where he cares about what the his enemies want on a very personal level. And then he uses that to his advantage. And so in some ways I'm like, I don't think he should have said that. And then I realized, oh wait, that's part of what Gideon said, in season 1, except he said, "It means more to me than you could possibly know." And so
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, I guess it kind of works for me. And also, I guess the other part that it made me think too, actually, to your point, Jake, is like, up until now, we haven't really seen him he's sort of easing into the ownership of Grogu being his son, or like his child. And this is like one of, like, probably the biggest way that we've seen him just say, okay, this is my child. I care about him on a personal level now. Obviously he's not going to go try to sell him or anything like that. So you see that it is much more emotional. And so in some ways I kind of appreciated that's what they were going for.
Yeah, well said. We're going to conclude this episode here pretty soon. But first, you guys have any final thoughts about this episode? Jake?
Yeah, I think you made a good point that it kind of feels like a filler episode, but I think there's definitely a lot more to it, and it was just an awesome episode overall. I think it was really clear. It kind of turns it from him just trying to get Grogu and bring him to the Jedi to sort of his fight against the Empire. I think being there, having that drink with the officer, and them talking about what he did, just sacrificing all those lives. I think it kind of shows really still what the Empire is all about. We know how terrible they are, but he hasn't really cared about that. So it'll be interesting to see forward, when he gets Grogu back, what really they go from here. Is it just going to be all about the Jedi, or I can see it being much more about their fight against the Empire, because they're rebels at this point.
Yeah.
What I've been thinking, and what I wanted to say, a bit of a tangent, but I'll make it quick. As far as everybody, and not that you guys were saying it, because I think all three of us are on the same page, but just in general, it's what I hear after every other episode is, oh, this one was a filler. And to me, it makes me think of scenes like, I can't remember which one I was thinking of. There's probably even a scene or two with Luke and Dagobah where it's like, okay, it cuts to him and he's like looking at stuff in Dagobah, and then it cuts somewhere else. You wouldn't call that scene a filler scene. You know what I mean? And I feel like it just kind of scales. For me, if an episode doesn't happen to progress the main storyline as much as I don't know, like a key part of the story, you're still learning about the characters. You're still learning about the universe, which is what us nerds really want. I'm like, I don't buy into the filler episode thing at all. So anyway, that's my thoughts on the phrase filler episodes. I thought this was a great episode. I thought the Frog Lady episode was a great episode. There's actually a lot of deep things in there if you look closely. But yeah, that's how I feel about that.
Yeah, going along with that, I mean, this is what George Lucas based Star Wars on, was these old serial TV shows. It's just another journey. It's just another day. It kind of reminds me of Bonanza a little bit, or I also think back to Toy Story. It's Woody's Roundup. It's just his next episode, his next adventure that he's going on with his friends. That's really what it is. And obviously there's going to be more dramatic story in certain episodes, but sometimes we just go into different directions and it's totally fine.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I've heard people call these episodes his side quest episodes, which is fine. I mean, just like a video game, you do the side quests, you level up, you grow, and it also introduces you to other characters, which, I mean, the side characters are also, I mean, if you didn't have the side characters in this show, yeah, Din Djarin and Baby Yoda are great, but you need all of it. That's what makes it such a great show and a great episode as well.
Yeah.
So I've got a couple of predictions, maybe questions from a couple of our friends. Thought I'd shoot them at you guys. We can get a little bit of dialogue on those. The first one was from Andy and Aurora here in Washington, and they said that they believe Grogu is going to be discovered in the next episode by a Jedi. And I know this is on a lot of people's minds. Jake, your thoughts?
Well, it's tough. There's one episode left, right, guys? I mean, we have so much to unpack. They have to get to the Star Destroyer or whatever ship he's in. They have to rescue Grogu. I mean, is Bo-Katan going to get the Darksaber back at that time?
There's
we still have the whole fight. I mean, Moff Gideon, I don't think this is going to be his end, but it could be. There's just so much to cover. But I think we could. I think that could happen. We could see what we think of Grogu putting out that signal when he was at the Jedi post out there. We could see somebody receiving that signal through the Force, through a dream of some sort. I could definitely see that happening. And it could just be something simple as like the back of somebody's head that we saw for a clip, because we haven't really heard casting rumors or anything about other Jedi. But it could just point us in the direction of who is going to be that one to train Grogu.
Adrian, do you think a Jedi is going to find Grogu, and is it Mace Windu?
That's right. He still exists as far as Sam Jackson is concerned. Okay, so I guess if we're talking predictions, I predict no. I think there's a high chance that they won't refer to the Jedi that he called in the last episode at all, the last episode of the season. If they do anything, I'm totally with you, Jake. They've just done it way too many times that I could easily see them doing some boots, maybe with the ends of a robe, or just a hood or something like that, just to indicate, and of course like the closing shot. So if we see anything of a Jedi, I think that's where I would think it would go.
I might be repeating myself from last time, but I'm hoping closing shot, the black glove grabs Grogu's hand, and we get a Luke Skywalker reference.
I don't know. My hope is we just see the feet of one Jedi and one skinny Mandalorian in a spray painted up suit. So we know who it is, right?
Oh, you're saying Ahsoka and Sabine?
No, Sabine and Ezra. I mean, Sabine.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Where is she? She? She was with Ahsoka. I think she's with Ezra. So I think we might see them two together. See where they have been this whole time. That is my hope, at least.
All right. And then my wife Waverly, her speculation, her prediction is that, and her hope, I think my hope too, is that we get Bo-Katan back next episode for the finale. I'm hoping she gets the Darksaber back. Honestly, I wanted them to take back Mandalore next week, but I feel like that's probably going to be next season at this point. Because like Jake said, it's a lot to fit in one episode. Adrian, what do you think?
I don't think Bo-Katan. I don't think they're going to wrap up the Darksaber at all. As far as the next episode, I feel like, honestly, okay, just talking predictions, I don't think they're getting out of there with Baby Yoda with Grogu. I feel like there's a high probability it's going to end on kind of a dark note, and we are just going to be anxiously awaiting for a year to find out what his fate is. That's kind of how I feel about it. I feel like they would do that to us at this point. We just had the Razor Crest blow into a million pieces, and it was heart-wrenching. I could easily see them wanting some dramatics for the last episode. So honestly, I don't know that Grogu is going to be safe from the Empire's hands next week.
Jake, do you want to add?
I think Bo-Katan could show up very well. I mean, we'll see. But I do agree that the arc of the Darksaber is not going to be finished here and now. I think it needs to be finished on Mandalore. I that's what I think. At least they should go back and finish it up. I don't think there'll be a huge cliffhanger like that. I do think they'll get him back. Like last season, they got him back. They escaped from Moff Gideon at that time, and then we saw the reveal of the saber. So maybe we'll just see a reveal of a different saber this time.
Yeah, my friend Anthony, his prediction is that Din goes and he gets together with Bo-Katan, the two Mandalorian that she's with, and then he also gets Ahsoka and all of them. He's got this big crew now, and they go after Gideon. I mean, I hope that's what it is.
It seems like a lot, but I mean that would be pretty dang cool.
Yeah, I guess there's just so
lot.
much.
Yeah.
There's so much that they need to wrap up or address, and it definitely feels like they can't get to all of it. And then at the same time, now that we talk through this, I'm like, they've definitely tackled a lot. They've covered a lot of ground in some episodes where you don't think we're going to get a bunch, and we end up, getting a lot. So it could really go either way. Not to completely backtrack on my last thought, but. It's just one of those things, and in some ways that's a great thing. That's one of the awesome things that this show has done, is there is so much going on. Even though I do wish that this show was a little bit bigger sometimes. Like sometimes I wish it wasn't just about Din. I wish we went back and forth to other characters. Like, could you imagine if it followed Bo-Katan and Din and maybe another Mandalorian, and we had 3 separate stories that were going simultaneously? Sometimes I wish it was more like that so it could feel bigger, but at the same time, like I said, they've definitely packed a lot into this season.
Last prediction, and we'll get you guys' thoughts on this, is from Bill back in Arizona, and he's thinking that Grogu is going to use the dark side force powers next week. Adrian?
I love you, Bill. How's it going, Bill? No, I don't think they can do it. It is tough because like my mind often does go to, we're trying to sell toys here too, and shirts but it's kind of true. I mean, the kids, they love Grogu. He can't turn evil. If he does start to turn evil, I think they would address it and then correct him, and it'll be a nice lesson for all of us.
Kind of like Ezra.
Oh yeah, sure. Yeah.
Spoiler, but it is a spoiler show. So.
Yeah,
Jake, what do you think?
I kind of agree with you. I mean, I mean, to what extent? I mean, are you calling him force choking Moth for a few seconds? Is that him turning to the dark side? I could see that, and then Din being like, "No, stop it," and then he'd be like, "Okay." I don't think there'll be like some huge turn where he's shooting lightning or anything crazy and killing all these people. I definitely don't see that.
Yeah, because I mean we've already seen it just a little bit, like you mentioned. So
What could be cool though, this will never happen, but what could be cool, in Rebels we had the Bindu. You guys remember the Bindu? He was the one in the middle. And it just and they've referred to the fact that the Bindu can change. I mean, I don't know if it would break lore at all, but it would be crazy if Grogu ended up being like the next Bindu or something. It'll never happen.
That would be cool too. That is a cool idea.
I just want them to bring the Bindu back. I thought he was a cool character.
I honestly could see that of more of an Ahsoka storyline, but we'll see.
Oh yeah. Well, before we wrap up, do you guys have any more of your own predictions that you wanted to throw out there?
I do.
Yeah,
maybe I'll throw it out as a question.
Yeah.
People are talking that Din is going to start flying around in the Slave One, and some are even talking that Boba Fett will hand it over to him either because he dies or retires. What do you guys think about that?
Yeah, I did mention that on last week's episode that I can't see Boba living for very long. I just think it's time for him to come to an end at some point. I definitely could see him dying possibly this episode. Who knows? Because I don't know. I just for some reason don't see him continuing in the crew in season 2 as much as I would like it to happen. And he does need a new ship. So yeah, I could see Boba Fett's demise and the Slave One continuing on through the Mandalorians.
Well, I mean, I think Mace Windu's going to come back and Boba Fett's going to go after him, and then there's so. No, I think we need a lot more dialogue from Boba Fett, and just like more context to the character, and like just layers, really flesh out his character, because he doesn't really talk a whole lot either in any of the other episodes that we've seen, or in the movies. I think we just need more from him before he goes away.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess me personally, I would much rather see Din. Like, as an audience, we've never experienced one of our favorite characters. Well, like, what is it like to go and find and purchase a new ship, or I don't know, have one commissioned or something like that? Like, to me, that would be cool. And also, the Slave One is Boba Fett's. I mean, I don't really like. Maybe it's because I have some nostalgia for that, but it's just like I would love for the Slave One. Whenever you see the Slave One, that Boba Fett is about to make an appearance. But I don't know. So those are my thoughts. I would like to see a new cool ship that we grow to love.
Yeah, I mean, I was kind of starting to love the Razor Crest, but Razor Crest 2.
I really liked it. I really liked it. Yeah.
I guess my prediction is that he's going to end up back with Bo-Katan and the other Mandalorians, and I'm hoping that they just travel together on their new Star Destroyer.
Yeah, I mean, I could see that happening. I do think this last episode, whether Bo-Katan's there or not, I think we will get to see an awesome sword fight with Moth and his Darksaber versus Din Djarin and his Beskar staff, and I think it's gonna be great.
Yeah,
totally agree. I think they were kind of setting us up for that,
right?
Well, anything else, guys? Any other predictions? Anything?
Counting down the days till Friday or Thursday night.
I know, it's crazy. It's already the last episode.
Yeah,
it just went by too fast, but also it's only 8 episodes, so
it was really nice to have that opening one that was so long, and I keep hoping we'll come to a next one and it'll be just as long, but they've been right around 35 is probably where it'll be, which is
okay. It's real quick, your guess, how long next episode?
Mine, Yeah, I'll say 38.
Ooh.
38. Okay, Jake.
My guess is gonna be 48. There's just too much. There's too much.
I'm gonna go 54.
Ooh,
That would
that'd be
nice.
good.
We'll see. All
5 or
right,
6
guys.
of those are credits, so.
Yeah, that's true. All right, guys. Well, thank you both for being on the show today. It was a lot of fun breaking
Yeah.
down the episode, talking, giving our predictions. Thank you, everyone, for sending in those predictions and questions for us also, and for listening to the podcast. We really appreciate it. And please join us next time. Also, the three of us are going to do another episode soon because Disney just had a huge live stream this week and announced a ton of more Star Wars shows and movies. So we're also going to have another episode for you real soon, breaking down those and our predictions for those. Just giving you a ton of information to hold on to and get excited about. So thank you, everyone, again. Come back next time on the Starfighter podcast. And we're signing off.